Are we trying to go up the down staircase was a common question years ago for those of us wanting to look like Jesus. We are called Christians. We carry the name of Christ. We sing songs that indicate we want to look like Him. We read books that tell us about who He is. I think it's valuable for us to consider Psalms that are the rootedness of many of Jesus' teachings and His character. For example, Psalm 41 says, "Blessed is he that considereth the poor, the Lord will deliver him in time of trouble." Blessed is he that considereth the poor, the Lord will deliver him in time of trouble. Then Jesus' key sentence in Matthew 5:3, blessed are the poor in spirit. Notice, blessed, Psalm 41, blessed, Matthew 5:3. Blessed are the poor in spirit, Psalm 41, blessed is he that considereth the poor. What happens in Psalm 41? Blessed is he that considereth the poor, the Lord will deliver him in time of trouble. In Matthew 5, blessed are the poor in spirit, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven. The push on Western Christianity, at least, is, in a sense, away from poverty of spirit. The same word used by Matthew and by Luke indicates poverty in a material sense and physical sense, and poverty in a spiritual sense. So Matthew emphasizes the poverty in a spiritual sense, whereas Luke emphasizes poverty in a physical sense. I looked up the word, and by the way, looking up the word in various lexicons or scholarly documents is not always the perfect answer, but it gives us a sense of scholars' view of what the word means. It says strictly denoting absolute or public dependency on charity. That's the Greek word that Jesus used. Now, it can emphasize absolute public dependency on charity physically, or absolute public dependency upon God spiritually. Charles Spurgeon said, "The poor intended are such as poor in substance," meaning these folks are lacking substance, weak in bodily strength. This poverty could be lack of health or weakness. For example, verse 3 of Psalm 41 says, "The Lord will strengthen him upon the bed of languishing. Thou wilt make all his bed in his sickness," meaning that this type of poverty could be a sickness. So Spurgeon says, the poor intended are such as poor in substance. They're weak in bodily strength. They're despised in repute or despised in reputation. And they have a despondency in spirit. The actual Spurgeon line, the poor intended are such as are poor in substance, weak in bodily strength, despised in repute, and desponding in spirit. This is a key thing for us to consider when we A, look at ourselves, and B, look and serve others. Do you and I allow ourselves to develop an absolute public dependency on God? An absolute, which means absolute, complete, total, expansive, and public, that we make it known publicly that I am totally dependent upon God. We can take it down to the level of a heartbeat. I am totally dependent upon God for this heartbeat. I am totally dependent upon God for my next thought. One day I heard, I think it was Dr. Joe Featon say, you're just one chemical off from being confused about who you even are, right? So we get all confident and proud when in fact we have total dependency upon God for even our neurotransmitters. Then there's total dependency upon God that we would even see our sin, that God allows us conviction of sin, that we even know there is sin, that we even know there is a God to please. We are totally dependent upon God for relationships. We are totally dependent upon God for salvation, healing, favor. It goes on and on. The fact that when we have an absolute dependency, it means absolute dependency. That without God, we would not be able to function. At the same time, we look at people that are absolute or publicly dependent on our kindness, on what God offers to us, we offer to others. We try our best to get away, do unto others as you would have them do unto you, relating to God as well. So, how God has done to us, we are invited and encouraged and blessed to do unto others. The text again is Psalm 41 this week. Blessed is he that considereth the poor. Now, there's different types of poverty, and we'll be going into this in the next several days on a Psalm for today. There's a poverty that is filthy, unattractive, and kind of self-propagated. But there's a poverty that is clean, and people have only two sets of shirts, but when they're wearing one, the other one is being washed. They have a dirt floor, but they sweep their dirt floor every day. They practice sanitation. And so even defining poverty in our world is complex. But my point is, I wonder if we are trying to go up the down staircase when Jesus modeled not only that it's good to have poverty of spirit in your mind, he left heaven's glory and took upon himself the form of a servant. He humbled himself. And so as we think about our lives, our ministry, our day, are we willing to abase ourselves? Are we willing to become of no reputation? Are we willing to lay aside our prerogatives of power? I saw a sign that said white fragility. I guess it's a book. I saw a lot of talk about kind of privilege based on the color of your skin. All of that is whatever it is. But are you willing to lay aside your privilege? Are you willing to lay aside your options, your power, your control in order to say, God, I'm going to follow this Jesus who laid aside everything that I could become dependent upon him? And by the way, if you're going to be dependent on somebody, there's none better than Jesus, to be totally dependent upon him. This week, let's take a look at what it means to not try to climb up into esteem and public acclaim and etc. Let's ask God how we can follow the example of his son and move down to our knees to wash the feet of his disciples, to wash the feet of those who are poor, who are absolute or publicly dependent on charity, as are we absolutely publicly dependent upon God.